Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for the Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we're talking with successful business owners to hear their story of the journey to building their business. And because we know that achieving success in business is not something we can do on our own, we recognize the folks that helped us to excel. I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from the business coaching industry with us today. My guest is a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, and the #1 business coach in the world. Over the course of his 30-year career, he's become the CEO of more than 9 companies and is the founder of ActionCOACH. Please join me in welcoming Brad Sugars to the show.
G'day, how you doing, Tim?
I am awesome, thank you. It's great to have you on today, Brad. So let's start. I'll have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your personal story. You know, where you were born, where you live, your family, and some of your hobbies.
Oh, born and raised in Brisbane, Australia, although we moved around Australia a lot as kids, Darwin, Adelaide, back to Brisbane. Currently, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. So as they say, it's the only city in America fun enough for an Australian to live in. So that's that part. My wife is actually from Massachusetts, and we have 5 kids. One of them is currently in college in Massachusetts. One's at college in Alabama, and the other 3 are here in school. So 4 daughters, 1 son. So therefore, everyone can understand my world a little bit.
I love it. And what do you like to do for fun?
Sports, watching sports, going to concerts, travel, those sorts of things. You know, with a big family, you've got to, there's always something to go and see or go and do. There's always a kids concert or a kids game or something. So, big family means big life, I guess, is probably the thing. And then also for fun, I work. I love business. I love what I do. So, the old saying, though, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life is so not true. If you do what you love, you'll work harder than anybody else because you love it. That's sort of my theory anyway.
Awesome. What's a funny story that your family likes to tell about you?
Oh, okay. So I when you sent this question through, I sort of pondered that, and I said there's 2 answers there, because one is the fun, from when you're a kid, like my dad loves telling the story of when I sold my Christmas presents to my brothers. He tells the story that I apparently set up a garage sale at my bedroom door. And he said by 8, though, I'd worked out not to sell it to them. I rented them to them. So that way I got to keep it and got their money. So, yeah, that one. And then from the other side, I'm sure my wife would love to tell stories of my craziness. And we do have a big family, and we celebrate birthdays really big, and usually it's me who starts the cake fight. So but our house manager and housekeeper both beg us to never do it inside on the wooden floors again.
Nice.
So yes, take the cake outside, fight outside where we can hose it off.
So Brad, tell us, how did ActionCOACH come about? At what point did you have the confidence that you could run this business?
Look, I've always been blessed with confidence. I don't think that's something that was ever a challenge. I think my dad instilled into us boys. I have 2 brothers. My dad instilled into us boys is to back yourself. Trust your own judgment, back yourself. He never put it quite that nicely. I always say, listen, most of the world are idiots. Don't follow them. It's like that sort of thing. But ActionCOACH started by accident, really. I was at the time running other businesses and was asked to give speeches. And so by giving speeches, people would come and because when you're young and successful, people want to know, how did you get successful young? I mean, there must be some magic to it or something. And so it's sort of, when giving speeches, people would come and ask, can you help me? Can you help me? And in the end, because most of the time I would just say, no, sorry, I'm too busy. No, sorry, too busy. And then, you get that aha moment of, hang on, about 100 people have asked me if I can work with them. maybe I should do that. And it's that thing of when you're in business and people keep asking if they can buy something, or do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do that? And you keep saying, no, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. Start doing that. You know what I mean? And so I'd given a speech. I was in Auckland, New Zealand, and I was sitting at the hotel, and I was across the road from this beautiful rose garden. And I was sitting in the hotel and thought, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. So like a good Australian, I went and got a notepad and a pen and a 6-pack of beer and sat in the hotel and designed the business over the coming few hours. I actually wrote the business plan and the vision and mission. And here we are that was at 93. So we're 28 years later, almost 29.
That's awesome. So Brad, for the benefit of everyone listening, tell us a little bit more about ActionCOACH.
We started the business coaching industry or profession. We now operate in 83 countries. I'm very proud to say we coach businesses in 3 communist countries, China, Russia, and Vietnam. And that to me is great that we're having an impact at that level. We coach business owners one-on-one. We have about 18,000 clients around the world doing that. We have about 280,000 clients in our group programs each year. So we're just under 1,100 offices, I believe, around the world, and making a difference with business owners every day. My team sort of has a bit of a saying, we save one business at a time, and in many cases, it's saving a business. In other cases, it's taking a good business and making it great.
Fantastic. So Brad, tell us about somebody in your life who pushed you or inspired you that you could do more than maybe you thought, and what was the impact that they had on your life?
Yeah, I'll go back to, rather than a singular person, to a group. I was 16. I was doing debate, and my friend Jody, her dad, saw me at a debate one time, and he saw me give a speech another time, and he nominated me for the Rotary Youth Leadership Award in our area. And you had to go in and give a speech and apply for the award and do an interview. And so I won the Rotary Youth Leadership Award, and that they then sent me away for a week-long training on how to be a leader, how to be successful. And I think that was probably the big turning point. That led me to go and meet Jim Rohn, or go and listen to Jim Rohn, and just it got the yearn to learn. I got that yearn to learn, and that simple factor of the more you learn, the more you learn. If you want to be better at something, you got to study it. And so I studied people, I studied success, I study all those things, and the more and even today, Jim Rohn used to say, though, no one can do your reading for you. He didn't. That was before Audible. So and Headway. I love the Headway app too. That's another great one. That the book summaries on audio book summaries. Do a book in 20 minutes.
So I know that you have a story about Jim Rohn when you first met him. Share that with everyone. I love it.
Well, yeah, I was 16. I was sitting in the Brisbane City Town Hall listening to Mr. Rohn, and took as many notes as I possibly could. Two things that stood out during the seminar that he said to all of us, but to me, I felt like he was talking directly to me. And he said, never wish your life were easier, wish that you were better. And I wrote that down. I ended up typing it up in big writing and putting it up above my desk so that I could stay focused on getting better. And he added to that, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And that to me was a big thing about that. So I ran down to him after the event and asked him to sign my notes, sort of thing. And because I didn't have a book of his yet to get him to sign. So I asked him to sign my notes, and he did. And I asked him the simple question, what can a young man like me do to guarantee I'm successful? He said, read a book a week for the rest of your life. And it wasn't a book every 2 weeks or a book a month. It was a book a week. And so I just set about doing that. The local bookstore became, I'm pretty sure I became their best customer. And people were, how did you pick a book? Well, I'd looked for ones I didn't have yet and just started. And I remember reading Mr. Rohn's first 2 things. He said, The Richest Man in Babylon and How to Win Friends and Influence People. So started with those two and away we went.
Yeah. I love the phrase that you use, you must learn to earn.
Mm. Yeah, look, I mean, it's really interesting that if you set a goal, you have to grow into the goal. You can't achieve a goal as the person you are that set the goal. So if I set a goal of running a marathon, then obviously I'm not capable of running a marathon yet. I have to do the training, I have to get the mentor, I have to maybe join a running club, or I have to practice, I have to do all those things. And people in business and money, I don't know why they perceive that, you know, I've set the goal. Well, okay, great. You want to double the business? Fantastic. You need to start reading books on people who doubled their business. You want to start learning how to double your business. You want to read marketing books and sales books, and you want to build a better team. Great. Read books on team building and management and leadership. And you can't be good at something you haven't studied. Let's just put it that way.
So, Brad, what's your biggest learning as a business owner?
Build your people, they'll build your business. No more complex than that. You know, if you hire good, build great, they build a great company for you. I go back to when I first learned the lesson of hiring people. I was probably 20 years old, and I went to my dad and I said, you know what, Dad, I just can't get good people. And my dad is a very dry, blunt man. And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, Brad, you get the people you deserve. I went, what? He said, well, you're an average manager running an average business. The highest caliber of person that'll want to work for you is average. Oh. I was like, stabbed through the heart. Thanks, Dad. You know, it's you know, it's why when people say you're a motivational speaker, I personally don't like that. It's like, no, I'm an educator, not a motivator. If you motivate people, they just do stupid things faster. If you educate them, they know what to do and how to do it, type thing. And so that's why I very much fall into the camp of, you can't, you know, when you're recruiting people on your team, you can't, there was a saying, I forget who said it, and it was, you can't hire nice, you can't teach nice, but you can hire nice people. You know, you can't motivate people, but you can hire people who are motivated by your vision and by your goals, sort of thing. So it's keep on finding the people who are motivated with what you do, not the people who are motivated to do, you know, who are just want a job, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake a lot of folks make, right, is hire based on skills and experience, and then realize after the fact that they're not a cultural fit, and now you're stuck with a bad person. Yeah,
you know, and that's a challenge too. You're not actually stuck with them. Don't make a bad decision twice is I think the simple thing. You made a bad decision, fix it. Make a good decision and fix it, type thing. So, but you know, you've got to have a very clear culture. You've got to have a written, documented culture if you want to hire based on culture. You've got to know what your culture is. You know, when you look at business, who you are and why you do what you do is more important than what you do. The who and the why is very important. That's why when you look at Action Coach, I'm very clear on our vision, very clear on our mission, very, very clear on our culture. It's documented, it's there. I've recorded videos on it. So if a brand new person joins our company in Vietnam, they can watch the video and learn from me the history and the vision and the mission and the culture of our organization. So,
And I know it's something that you encourage all of us to bring to life in our day-to-day too. So in our Monday huddles with our team, we review one of the culture statements a week. And, you know, read it out loud, and then everybody goes around and shares what it means to them and maybe what they need to be doing more of to bring it to life. All right. So we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation, and there are other people who help us along the way. Tell us of a challenge that you had during the years and a fellow business owner who helped you get through that.
You know, I've been lucky in that a lot of my companies have had great business partners, and a lot of the times they're the ones who you turn to. You know, like in life, you turn to your life partner, and in business, I would turn to my partners, and, you know, we would help each other through certain things. Like, you know, you look at 2008 when the economy crashed, you look at 2020 when the pandemic and the economic crash and all of those things, and you turn to the people on your team and you do that. And so as at the start of the pandemic, as a partner in 11 companies, I had to turn to all of our partners, and we all had to, dig deep and decide, how are we going to get through this thing? Are we going to come out better, or are we going to come out worse? Are we going to survive it, or are we going to thrive through this thing? And the fact that we made a decision to thrive through it, I think, is the big thing. And one of my business partners in Australia, in our commercial cleaning business, we sat down at the start of it and literally, just made the decision that, what, we're going to run. We're not going to walk. We're not going to hide from this thing. We're going to run. We're going to use this and build this and turn it into, I forget who it was. It was maybe Andy Groves, his head of Intel. And he said, a bad economy will kill a bad business. A bad business will get killed by a bad economy, because the old saying of a rising tide floats all boats is very true. When the economy is booming, a lot of people think that they're great at business, but it's just that the economy's booming. He said that a good business will survive an economic downturn or a negative economy, and a great business will come out of it stronger. And that's where we had to pivot. We had to do things. Even right at the start of the thing, one of my businesses is a food truck business. Now, you imagine how bad that looked for us. All the festivals, all of the events that we go and take the food truck. We're a big catering company. Weddings, we do all weddings with food. It's just, they're all gone. and we had to sit down and turn it. And we were lucky enough to find some sites where we were able to put our trucks, that the business owners in those spots wanted us there, and we wanted to be there. So, it helped them that people would come looking for food, and it helped us that they had people coming buying from them. But, in those times, people couldn't get food. They couldn't get groceries. Everything was sold out. And our business, we turned into, a basic food store. We turned our trucks into basic food. Instead of doing gourmet stuff, it was like, okay, it's spaghetti and meatballs night. Every member of the family's getting spaghetti and meatballs. Tell us how many, and we'll give you that many in a serving, type thing. But yeah, I think we've had more business owners help us. And I like the word co-opetition. I may have invented it, I'm not sure, but the word co-opetition is in our mission statement as a company, in that we cooperate with our competitors and we all get better. Because the vision of ActionCOACH is really about the more. The more one business thrives, it employs a bunch more people. Therefore, there's a bunch more people with money to be customers of other businesses. And so the more we can make every business thrive, the better. And people think that there's a competitive nature and that there's a scarcity. And that's not really the way business works. When all businesses are booming, all businesses are booming. So, yeah.
So you took that survive and thrive principle beyond your own businesses and did a lot of work for just the business community in general. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, when the economy turned, this is my fourth downturn that I've run business through. The first one beat the living daylights out of me. I'm very happy to admit I was a young man. The economy went bad, and I'm like, okay, head in the sand, just knuckle, no, it didn't work. The second one, I got through it okay. The third one, we thrived through it. And this fourth one, we thrived through it again. But what I did in 2008, when it happened, we didn't have the technology we do today. So I went on the road in, the economy, sort of 2010 was when it got to its point. And I literally spent $1 million of my own dollars flying around the world, giving seminars to people about how to survive and thrive through this thing. Well, this time, because of technology, I was able to teach. And in the first few months, we got to I think it was 500,000 people in the first few months doing webinars on here's the top 11 things you need to do to get through this thing. And, and then we did webinars on how to market in that economy, because your marketing had to shift. Your sales approach had to shift. Everything had to change, because people were in worry and panic mode, and you have to do things differently in those times. You have to sell differently, you have to market differently. So yeah, we spent a lot of time. I literally sat in front of this thing for pretty much all day, every day, teaching different groups. I remember teaching 50,000 entrepreneurs in Russia at one point, and just, sitting there and under translation for most of them, obviously, but just helping anyone that wanted to listen get through this thing.
Fantastic. So Brad, if you had to pick 3 people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for being there to help your overall growth, who would they be, and how'd they help you?
One of my first bosses, Paul Dunn. Paul, who now runs a massive charity called Buy One, Give One, based out of Singapore. Great mentor, and still to this day, a good friend and mentor if ever I need anything. And I know that I've had Paul come and speak to my teams around the world. So Paul would be number 1. Number 2, I would say he was the CEO of my company when I could no longer be the CEO of my company. Every business owner has to realize that at some stage you will burn out in your own business. You'll get sick of your own business. You won't want to be in your own business. So that's why you build a business that works so you don't have to. And there was a point where I needed, I think Action Coach was about 10 years old, and I handed it over to Victor Fratelli to run it, because we were sitting at a conference in Phoenix, and he looked at me, he said, "I think it's time for you to take a break." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go and, I'll head back to my room." And he said, no. I think it's time. Because at the time, it was like, if another person asked me about the 5 ways to multiply your profits, it was like, okay, I'm so sick of this. It's like a rock band that got sick of their number 1 hit song type thing. So yeah, when he took over and ran the business for me when I couldn't, I think that was a very important aspect of what happened. And third, I'm not going to go with any one person. I'm going to go with all of the team members in my company, because a business is only as good as its people. If you build your people, they build your business. And so my goal every day is to work with great people, to recruit great people. And sometimes you got to recruit good and make great, because there's not many people out there to get a job at this point. But that's really it. My team is the business, the people that I've brought on and built the team. And this, our Action Coach team of coaches and franchise partners around the world are a phenomenal group of people. And the reason we are number 1 is because we recruit number 1s. And so I'll keep staying with that theory.
Awesome. So Brad, as you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what are the biggest challenges that you see that you're going to face to achieve your goals, and who are the type of people that you're going to need around you to solve those?
Yeah, I would say when I look at the next 3 to 5 years, community is a very big part of our success. And so we're in the middle of trying to recruit a chief community officer whose job really will be to continue to build our community. To build it at our franchise partner level, to build it at our client level, and to build it to the wider business community, to really take our business to that community. I'd say the second would be recruiting. Our business is growing at such a rate that we're in consistent need of people. In our organization around the world, we add, between all of our franchise partners, we add about 100 people a month. And so when you sit down and you start thinking of adding 100 people a month between our marketing people, our sales people, our operational people, our franchise partners, our coaches, our trainers, it just consistently, there's 100 people a month needed. And so, having a great HR person is really important in that role. I would say, if I was to look at a third challenge, possibly, I look at it as a massive opportunity in the virtual nature of the world. This virus has turned the world into a virtual world in such a way, and we can look at that from the metaverse and investing in cryptocurrencies or currency trading, as I like to refer to it as, or NFTs and that sort of thing. Or we can look at it in the point of view that we now have as many employees in countries other than the US that work for my office here than we do in our office here. So, that virtual nature of business today is a massive opportunity, but also it'll bring its own communication and time zone and all of those sorts of challenges. And so now we need a lot more software to see what people are doing every day and to measure and manage what they're doing, because we can't look over their shoulder anymore, you know. And so I'd say that opportunity is also going to present in its growth challenges.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. Brad, we talked about Jim Rohn earlier. One of the quotes that I love is, we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with.
Mm-hmm.
So as you think about that, is that something you find exciting, something that makes you nervous from a business standpoint?
You know, from a business standpoint, that's great. You know, when I go back to that all the time, I go, dang, so I'm getting more like my kids. Or maybe they're getting more like me. But, you know, it's that is the thing. No, from a business standpoint, I'm very lucky to have some very good friends. And one of the challenges, and men face this more than women today, that is having a group of friends, having a good group of friends. When I first moved to Las Vegas, it was one of those things as to, you know, how do you build a group of friends like I had in my hometown of Brisbane, Australia. So I did what any crazy person does. I started the Handsome Men's Club, and I got a group of, I'm not sure if you've ever seen it. If you haven't, Jimmy Kimmel did a skit called the Handsome Men's Club, and it was based on that. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to start the Handsome Men's Club. And so, you know, we have a group of guys, we get together and we hang out, but we have a group chat thing on our phones, and we're always just talking sport and stupid stuff. But then when it comes to the economy, you know, I got a couple of guys in that are absolute geniuses at math and economics. And, you know, I sit down and I chat with them and ask them, you know, where do you see this happening? When you look at the NFTs and cryptocurrencies, one of my buddies, he's a trader of currency, and you sit down and go, explain to me how you trade those things. And you sit there and you, by about sentence number 2, you're like, all right, got it. Just learned that I have no clue what it is that, you know, but I think that having building a good, solid core group of friends is something that men need to get better at.
Right.
You know, I watch, my wife is great at, they go to girls' lunches, girls' trips and all that. And the guys are like, oh yeah, we need to, oh, we're all busy. Okay, no. We're all getting together. The chairman has spoken. Everyone is required. Let's go and have a beer.
Love it. You mentioned about traveling, so I think that is definitely a challenge for folks who, especially to your point, men who have chased their career and moved multiple times and have lost track of folks. So I love that idea of just being intentional about, you know, building that friendship community. Yeah,
as a young man in my early 20s, all I did was work. And I realized when I sat down, and I teach a course now called the Purpose Workshop, Living a Life on Purpose. And I sat down and realized that I needed to create a role for myself. And it was, I created a role called Creator of Fun Times, you know, and became the host because it's just one of those things. If you don't do it, you become the hermit type thing. It's easy to just curl up and Netflix and chill, as they say. And that's easier than going out, but you've got to keep it.
Awesome. So Brad, if there was something catastrophic that happened to your business today, who's the first person you'd call, and what would that conversation be?
Oh, I'd have to call my wife first, always. You know, what would the conversation be? Honey, I've got to make sure one of the other businesses gets bigger now. You know, we're pretty lucky, Tim, in that, you know, it's not lucky. We've invested. So, you know, when you start out in your career, you have to make enough money to not just pay the bills, but to have extra to invest. And as you increase your income, you need to increase your investment percentage, not your spending. So, you know, that to me is just something we as people need to do and consistently do, so that we have the ability to not have to, in the beginning, you have to work for money, but that should only be 10 years of your life. If you learn money and you study money, and that's why I did my 30X business course and my 30X wealth course and my 30X life course, because if you study the principles of wealth, it's relatively simple. If you study the principles of business, the principles of success in life. So,
Wonderful. So Brad, you've sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you in your journey. If they were all on the show here today, what would you like to say to them?
Yeah, see, in my mind, I go to the funny answer behind that one. It's like,
yeah, share that one first.
It's like, you know, you all need to buy me a beer. You know, let's all have a beer. Probably, I mean, obviously, there's the obvious choice of thanks, but that's sort of a little too obvious to be the answer, if you know what I mean. You know, when you sit down and you look at all the people that have helped you along the way, you've also helped them. It's hard to help someone without helping yourself in that way. When you do something charitable, you feel better about you, not just them better about themselves. So, yeah, I'll stick with the obvious thanks, but definitely, all right, let's get a beer. So.
I love it. So Brad, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. I appreciate the opportunity to have you on the show and sharing your insights and stories about people who have helped you in your business journey.
Perfect. Hey, listen, if anyone watching this or listening to this, if it's your first time, please subscribe. The stuff Tim's doing with this is great. There's some great interviews on here, and you really need to subscribe to this and listen in.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. For everyone who tuned in today, thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help us spread this movement by liking the show and posting about it on your social media. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and I'll see you all next time.